Hi everyone, and welcome to the first installment of my School of Legends channel. Today we're going to be starting off with a pretty basic lesson on one of my preferred team comp styles, which is the 1-3-1, and kind of how to pull it off. And we're going to be looking at an example of a game which triggered me pretty hard, actually, because I really wanted ROCCAT to win this. It's ROCCAT versus Fnatic in week 4, day 2 of the EU LCS, and it seemed like they were doing everything right, at least for the first kind of 25 minutes of the game, but they really just couldn't close it, and they really struggled in this game, and it really got on my nerves to see them doing so well in the early game and then making just a few quite basic mistakes with regard to how to play their comp from kind of 25 minutes onwards, and it cost them the game, and it really shouldn't have, and it was a big shame because Fnatic, they didn't play too well, to be honest. And I thought that ROCCAT deserved it from the first 20 minutes of that play, which was really excellent. Airwax did some great counter jungling. He was up in Spirit's face for the whole time. Reckless got killed like 5 times. So yeah, let's start rolling the clip. And what you're going to see, well, first thing that you might notice is that looking at team comps briefly, ROCCAT's got 2 teleports, right? So this is putting them in prime position for a 1-3-1 comp because Fnatic doesn't have 2 teleports, right? So you've always got like a 1 teleport advantage, which is huge in professional play. And at this point, you're kind of 20 minutes into the game, and some stuff going on here. I'm just going to be, voicing over this while this happens. They get a great gank bot, whatever. So yeah, the fact that Febiven has taken Ignite means that really you want to be bullying your lane hard. Like in the first 20 minutes, you should be winning, because after that point, if you've not won, then you just cede, a teleport spell, which is huge. I mean, Fredy dies here. This happens to him like 3 times. He gets caught out of position. The warding's not there. The communication's not there. People aren't calling this. Whatever. Bot tower goes down, and you start seeing a lane swap. But yeah, well, Yeti carry swap lanes. They rotate up to top. So yeah, this is actually the fact that Ryze is ahead in this lane of a Lulu, who's normally considered to be a lane bully, with the disadvantage of not having a combat summoner spell, is massive. Like ROCCAT has seriously won this lane, especially seeing as the fact that they have Airwax doing so well on Kindred. Like this is a big win for them. So they want to accelerate this game at this point, and they send their bot lane up to the top lane. And what's really important here, when the mistakes start happening, is unfortunately a lot of the flack for this game lands at this guy's feet. It lands at Freddy's feet because, well, up until now he's only really ever played tanks, and he clearly doesn't actually know how to split push very well. He's not used to playing carry-oriented champions. It's actually the first time that I think the competitive scene has ever seen him on Fiora. He kept picking things like Maokai. Now this is really important here. So these guys go top lane, and Fnatic decides they're going to take the bot lane tower. And you see Janna and Quinn and Malphite run across this ward down here. Now at this point, Fredy has absolutely nothing to be doing down here. Like, you can't defend the turret against 4 people, and all that does is that it means that ROCCAT only have 3 people pushing the top side, and Fnatic have 4 on the bottom side. And he gets chunked out by Quinn, and he just kind of sits around and doesn't do much, and they end up trading even. But if he'd just run top as soon as he'd seen them go over this ward, like, acknowledge the fact that you can't do anything in the bot lane because there are 4 people there. They're just going to dive you or push you off the tower, whatever. If he'd gone top here, they probably could have gotten an inhibitor, or maybe just got a better trade out of it somehow, right? They still get a pretty decent trade. Like, it's a really good trade. Airwax ends up dying in the end, but they get the Herald, and they get the same number of towers, and they also get an inhibitor tower down, which in a 1-3-1 comp, like, they trade their inhibitor towers, so each team has both an open inhibitor after this play. But for a 1-3-1 comp, that's actually a really big advantage because you have more teleports. You can play all of the lanes more easily, so that's fine. So yeah, Freddy's still just sat down here doing nothing. He doesn't do anything at all. He just sits here, walking around in circles. If he'd been here, then this could have gone a lot better. I mean, Airwax and him could have stayed there. And, he still had his teleport, so he could easily have got in on this play. He should have run top, basically, as soon as he saw these guys here. So, after this play, what happens next? Just move this on a little bit. Oh yeah, Airwax dies at this point. So he gets popped there, that's fine. And Fnatic start doing what Fnatic wants to do here, which is sieging the mid tower. Fredy's down here in the bot lane, and I really don't know why he leaves this. You can take a tower here. I mean, your team's getting engaged on, but you have a teleport. This is what you have teleport for. This is why top laners take teleport. You could be pushing this lane in and getting damage on the tower. And Malphite's not in the fight either. He has teleport, but that's fine. And it's not like you can really do much, right, against Lulu, Caitlyn, Malphite, Quinn, Janna. Like, as a Fiora, you're not actually going to get much done in terms of defending towers. So you might as well be pushing a lane and getting farmed. And actually, as the game goes on, you're going to see Gamsu get like a CS advantage on a Fiora, which is just weird. It shouldn't really happen. And he kind of doesn't really build for the split push. Now this is really important as well. So Betsy catches out Spirit, and that means that they can rotate up to the Baron, which is great. That's awesome for them. This also happens. Gamsu really should have teleported here, like right here. As soon as this engage happens, Gamsu should have been teleporting to kind of stop this engage happening, but as it happens, Reckless ends up dying. And this means that they can get like a really easy Baron buff. This is just a free Baron right here. Gamsu's still split pushing the bot lane, which is a bit of a weird thing to do on a Malphite. You're not really a split pusher. You're there for the engage. He ends up teleporting into the Baron pit, but it's too late. But I mean, this video is mainly going to be focusing on what ROCCAT should have done, because they're the ones that are running the 1-3-1. Yeah, so that comes in late. Now, Baron buff on a 1-3-1 comp is absolutely huge. This is like your biggest advantage, and right now is when things should really start happening for them. Like at this point in the game, I was thinking, wow, ROCCAT's actually like they should win this game now. Like this is big for them. But they end up getting like 4 Barons, and the game stalls out and stalls out and stalls out and stalls out, and bad things happen. And that's mostly because of the way team comps are. And you have to understand, you have to play your team comp right. You have to understand what the kind of objective of your team comp is. And in this case, Fnatic's or any Lulu comp, when you have a protect the X comp, you know, protect the Caitlyn, protect the Kog'Maw, protect the Vayne, protect the whatever the hell it is, Lucian. Lulu Lucian's really popular right now. What they want to do, especially with a Malphite there, is just group up and fight in the late game. And especially with the kind of prevalence of the more of the Malmortius and Sterix Gage AD carry build, there is, with a Lulu and a Janna in that team, you are never ever going to kill that AD carry. So if they group up and fight in the late game, and you fight them 5v5, you'll most likely lose, even if you have a super fed Ryze. Because Caitlyn just outranges you. She's going to sit there and shoot you. And if you're going to charge in on Ryze, you're going to die. Or you're just going to get reset because they have Caitlyn, because they have Janna, and they also have a Malphite to stop you. So, right. Now, this part is kind of questionable in itself. They do end up getting the tower, so that's fine, but they really should have been prepping this wave top. When you've got a 1-3-1 comp, when you've got any comp, regardless, it's such a basic thing that you should be prepping minion waves. You always want your waves to be pushing into this so that you're applying the most amount of pressure as possible. Because the more minion waves you have pushing in towards the enemy base, the more pressure you have on them, and it also allows you to do like some really important stuff. It allows you to predict their movements, so you can see where they're going, and it allows you to it actually gives you vision. Like SK Gaming, I'm going to pause this. SK Gaming last year in Spring Split went like 8-0, and they were really kind of well known for this. I think it was Forgiven that was quoted as being like, "Why do we need wards? Like we have minion waves." They would just play 3 waves, like 3 really hard winning lanes, and push the minion waves and do other stuff while the waves were pushed. And everyone was like, how does this work? Well, pushing minion waves gives you a massive advantage because you know where people are going to go. Now something key happened here, which is that Malphite showed bot after this tower went down over here, the bot side tower for the red team, Fnatic. Malphite showed bot. So at this point what I'm thinking is, okay, Ryze should be running bot, right? Because yeah, you want to put Ryze into the Malphite. And also, you want to put Fiora into the open inhibitor because guess what? Fiora's really good at killing structures. Ryze isn't. Ryze builds loads of mana, which doesn't give you any damage on towers. Fiora should be, on the open inhibitor. She's also much more mobile, which means she's going to be able to escape from ganks and stuff more easily, which is something that happens later, as we'll see. I also want to question this dead man's plate here, which for me is not great. I mean, I understand the logic of it. I mean, it gives you the ability to move faster, which is okay in a split push against the Quinn, who's kind of seen as a counter matchup to Fiora. Sorry, 1 second. But generally speaking, what we see Fiora's going is Black Cleaver, and that's to be able to split quicker, it gives you more damage, and especially into a Malphite. Like, this Malphite has 3 armor items. Another reason why Ryze should be going bot into him and not the Fiora. Because, yeah. Fiora, like, desperate. She just cannot do anything against this guy right now. With the Black Cleaver, she'd have a little bit more help, especially as her ulti, you know, gives you like 40% true damage of their max HP. So with the Black Cleaver, she might stand a chance. And right here again, Fiora's running mid, and I don't really know why. Fredy seems to really enjoy going mid lane. He could be pressuring here. Malphite doesn't have TP. Like, you've got TP advantage right here. You have however many minutes it is. 240 seconds is like 6 minutes or whatever it is. Of is that right? Is that 6 minutes? No, it's 4 minutes. 4 or 5 minutes, either way, depending on if they have masteries or if teleports to minion, whatever. You have 4 minutes of teleport advantage, so you really need to be using that. You have 2 teleports up on the enemy team. And as we're going to see here, yeah, they do get quite a lot of damage on this tower, and they end up getting the tower in the end. But Betsy on Ryze shouldn't really be doing this split push here. Like, this is super deep. This is so risky. He is behind the entire enemy team, and he's going to pay for it. And that's mostly just because this bot wave isn't prepped. It's just sitting here. When they go for him here, which they do, they go up to gank him. If Fredy had been prepping this bot wave, this could have arrived at this tower. And the problem here is that Fnatic clears out the middle minion wave, so there's no threat to their mid tower anymore. And then all of them can just run over to Betsy and kill him. And they've got a much shorter route, because these guys have to go all the way around here in the jungle, okay? If Fredy had prepped this bot wave and had just been pushing it, because again, he's not doing anything in the mid lane, clearing waves, and he has a TP. It's okay to be in a side lane. You're a Fiora, you should be getting a CS advantage. He's what, like 24 CS behind the Malphite here? That shouldn't really be happening. Because you're a split pusher, your objective is to get massive in the late game and just be unstoppable. Sorry, got a dry throat. So, had this wave been prepped, ROCCAT would have just been able to rotate over and take this tower, or at least get some damage onto this tower, because they'd have a big minion wave here, or Fnatic wouldn't have been able to make this play in the first place, because you would have pressure on 3 lanes, and this is such a huge part of League, especially when you have a 1-3-1. It's playing the game on 3 waves. Even if you're a 4-1 comp, you should still be prepping this wave so that it slow pushes, so that you have pressure and other options for when this mid wave gets cleared out. So yeah, Betsy dies. They get the mid tower, but they can't do anything else. The camera's going to go over for a minute. They've got no minions left. And they've got no minions here. The minions should be up here right now. If Fredy had prepped this wave properly, or pushed it all the way in, because he didn't need to be in mid lane, you could have done it with a slow push, but why not with the Fiora? Especially seeing as, you know, Gamsu is their main source of hard engage. If Gamsu's not there because he's in a side lane fighting your 0-3 Fiora, who's not really doing much in team fights anyway because they have a really good kite and disengage comp, then that's fine, because you take away all of their hard engage and you lose probably your weakest member, honestly, at this point. So again, what we should be seeing here is just them going into a 1-3-1, and their Baron power play is pretty low, and that's quite telling. So another thing I want to actually touch on is, look at the trinkets. When you're ahead in a game like this and you're pushing into the enemy's jungle, especially when you're running 2 teleports, you need to be running yellow trinkets. Yeah, so they have 5 wards plus their pink ward to teleport on, but if you have yellow trinkets to place, say here, like, you could be making teleport plays onto the inhibitors. And actually, ROCCAT doesn't use their teleports for, I think it's something ridiculous, like 16 or 17 minutes here. It's since like minute 18. I don't think a TP has been used. So they have their teleport cooldowns for absolutely ages, and they don't really use them. And that's such a huge part of League at a high level, is knowing when you have teleport advantage and how to use it. And ROCCAT don't use it in this game, and it costs them a lot. Again, Freddy's in the mid lane. He just shouldn't be here. He's not getting anything from being here. He doesn't offer any wave clear. He doesn't really offer any, well, he doesn't offer any hard engage. He doesn't have the build to do any damage because he's running a dead man's plate. He should just be in the bottom lane soaking up farm. As it is, minions are dying down here, and you're just losing golden experience. That just, nothing is happening right there. And Fnatic do a good job here. They're doing exactly what they want to do. They want to group as 5 people and just push into the mid lane, because they have really, really high siege potential with a Lulu, Caitlyn, Janna. Like, they have really high range. So that's fine on their part. what we're going to see here in a minute, I think, if this is the right part. So yeah, again, Fiora doesn't really need to be here. Like, she could be in this bot lane, just tying up the Malphite so that they have less hard engage. You've got a wave pushing into the top lane, so that's good. That's good wave management. This should, I think, push into the inhibitor and threaten it. If not, then at least it'll take some time. So they don't have wave pressure on you here. Fiora could be splitting this, right? Because even with Extinct's ulti whiffing and not really hitting anyone, we're going to see in a minute. Wait for it. There it is. We're going to see Gamsu get caught. And he ults backwards, right? So this is a pretty big loss for the team fight. And as soon as ROCCAT see this, they know they can go hard. But Fredy literally doesn't touch anyone in this fight. He doesn't get a single point of damage. I don't think he even gets an assist on anyone. All this time, he could have been overhit. He could have been pushing up this lane. And once you win a team fight with Fredy pushing there, you can just take up, like, again, he can just sit here and pressure this inhib while the rest of the team does Baron. So yeah, like, massive loss there in terms of what you could have got off of that play, because that's, you know, a really important part of what minion wave pushing gives you. If all of your waves are pushed into their tower and you take a team fight win, you can immediately go and take towers. If all of your waves are pushed into their tower and you lose a team fight, they can't actually capitalize off it unless they have, like in this case, they have a Malphite so they could push a tower, you know, because he can just sit there and face tank the tower. But it gives them a lot less damage on the towers as well, a lot less time to soak up with their minions. So the game's going to carry on from here, and it's pretty much the same old story. ROCCAT just they don't prep their waves properly, and they don't use their teleport advantage. Again, Gamsu used the teleport right there, so you've got 2 teleports right up now. Why not send Fiora up to this and rise here, and just put your 3 people in the middle lane? You know, you can probably hold. Yes, Fnatic might just rush down the middle lane and siege really hard, but again, you have 2 teleports to use, and if you're pushing the side lanes with a decent amount of pressure, and the fact that you have an open inhib means that even if they do just run down mid lane and siege, they're going to trade a side inhibitor for a middle inhibitor at the very least, maybe 2. And side inhibs are actually better than middle inhibs, mostly because middle inhibs, like, the side lanes will give you a great amount of pressure because they're further away, essentially. So bot lane inhibitor is usually seen as the most valuable one because it's furthest away from Baron, so it gives you the greatest amount of side lane pressure. And that's, you know, that's the reason why inhibitors are important, because they give you pressure. And that's, again, a part of the reason why taking towers down is so important in this meta. So yeah, ROCCAT decide we've got the Baron, now's the time to run into this and take this. Fine. They get it down, but they can't do anything else because their side waves aren't prepped. So you get a top inhibitor, but it doesn't end up mattering because they can't go anywhere else after this. Sorry if it sounds like I'm hammering away at the same point again, but this match absolutely triggered me. I'm just seeing the same team fight again, because ROCCAT really should have won this. It's basic stuff, just prepping your minion waves and using your teleport advantages. This is stuff that, you know, all kind of high-level players or teams looking to coordinate properly should use properly. And this is such a simple step to be able to help you guys to win rank games, because Riot is really incentivizing just basic team play and coordination, and especially if you're running double teleports, it's so easy to take advantage of people because people don't know how to play properly. So this is a really important part right here again. So they're doing the split push okay, right? They're doing fine here. But this way, so this is something that I tell people all the time, right? I coach 2 teams, and I tell them all the time, just once you have an inhibitor, let the minion waves do the work for you, right? Because they will, eventually. Eventually this wave is going to get in here, and someone from Fnatic is going to have to go and deal with it. But ROCCAT forces this play really hard. So again, you're not going to be able to siege into a Caitlyn and Lulu, because you're just not, right? You're not going to do any damage to that tower. Especially with a Janna there shielding it, and Reckless just sitting there clearing waves with this Hurricane. It's just never going to happen. So have they got 4 dragons at this point? I think they have 3. I'm not sure, I can't see. Either way, so you can just pressure here and wait for more dragons. That's fine, and you can just wait until this wave gets in, and then you can make a play. Actually, can't remember what happens here. I can't remember if they do something or not. So right, yeah. Spirit has to go top. Now you can force something at least. You can at least maybe go and take out the Malphite. You can do something. Again, Fredy really shouldn't be splitting solo into a Malphite, especially not without a Black Cleaver. His Black Cleaver is so delayed. So delayed. So Gamsu burns his ult here for nothing. And this is great for ROCCAT. And right now you're thinking like, wow, they should be destroying this game right now. This should be a win. They should be able to take 2 inhibs off of this. Okay, maybe not. They back out, but you know, Fnatic had to go and deal with this wave. They could have sieged here again if the wave was prepped properly. They could have carried on sieging because Malphite's their main initiate, right? They could have even sent one person top to push this wave in and just be annoying the Fiora, because sacrifice the Fiora because Freddy's pretty useless right now, to be honest, and just take a tower. Wait, I need to move the mouse off the screen so I can see for a second, so I can see how many dragons they've got. Okay, they have 3 dragons, so yeah. Still a while until the 5th dragon, which they do end up getting, and still making the same mistakes, unfortunately. Okay, so they keep A-ramming mid and eventually get the mid tower down. But again, look, this wave still isn't prepped. Like, you have 2 teleports. You don't need to be here. You could just be prepping this wave, and as soon as this wave comes back, you could sit in this lane and wait for the other 2 waves of side pressures to just get into you. It's so easy. Once you have 2 inhibs down, you just sit in a side lane. You just sit in the lane that doesn't have them, and you wait for the super minions to come back in. And this is something that will help you a lot if you just do this in team games and just make the minions do the work for you. It's so simple, but so many teams mess it up. And you know, like right now you've got 2 teleports, so you have an advantage. You still have a massive teleport advantage over the other team, and you have 2 inhibs down. Like, you can be threatening so much on the map right now, but they just don't. Their teleports still haven't been used. We're 36 minutes into the game. It's been what, 15 minutes, 16 minutes since they used the teleport, something like that. Which in a comp where you have a teleport advantage, like especially playing into a Lulu comp, which just wants to group, and if they group as 5, they will kill you because it's Lulu. She just makes, especially late game Caitlyn, just so ridiculously strong. Okay, so we have Fredy in the bot lane, so it's looking good, right? Like this looks super hopeless for Fnatic right now. You know, if this is played cleanly, they shouldn't be able to do anything about it. Anything at all. Now, something important here about kind of knowing what's going to happen kind of in the next few minutes and predicting it, and putting your side lane allocation properly, right? So, you know Fnatic's got teleport up, and you know Baron's about to come up, and you know top inhib's about to come up. So, why not send Fredy top and Betsy bottom, right? Because if they send well, they're going to have to send Gamsu bot to deal with your split push, right? Otherwise, you're just going to take a free inhib. They're going to try and clear Fredy away with people near this while they're doing the Baron, right? So, yeah, why not do that? Why not send the Ryze into the Malphite? Who, I mean, Ryze should destroy him right now. He has what, 1 magic res item, 1.5 if you count Merc trades as half an item, because they're alright. But I mean, Betsy should be able to apply a lot of pressure here. Much more on a Malphite than Fredy. And again, Fredy can take this so easily, and he's so quick because of this dead man's plate. Again, I'm not really sure about the boots of Lucidity. I don't really get it, especially when you're playing into Lulu, Malphite, Janna, who all have really hard slows. I don't get why you'd build Lucidity there. Okay, so Fnatic pushes down mid, Freddy's still there, and he gets scared here because they disappear off the map and starts backing off, and that's kind of okay. That's kind of your job as a split pusher. You have to back off when you think people are coming. Oh wait, does he back off? Does he just die? Whoops. Okay, so they use a teleport here to ward that off. So again, because Freddy's overstayed, you've used your teleport, so that's pretty big. You get the 4th dragon, so it's kind of okay. I mean, this game is just so heavily in ROCCAT's favor. Like, it shouldn't even be close at this point. Fnatic plays their comp a lot better than ROCCAT does late game, but I mean, they get stomped pretty hard in the early game. You had such a ridiculous amount of setup that if you just executed the 1-3-1 properly, you wouldn't have lost this game. And all this time we still haven't seen any pressure onto this top lane inhibitor at all, or any of the waves being slow pushed into it. Nothing like that. I mean, you have pressure from the super minions in the mid lane, so they're going to have to send, you know, at least 3 people to ward off that. If you do a 1-3-1 here, you should be good, right? They're gonna have to allocate the majority of their wave clear to pushing off these super minions, and you should then be able to get some kind of advantage from your teleports. But instead, they're just kind of 5-manning at the Baron. And the waves are really, really slowly pushing, but I mean, this wave's not pushing towards them. Not pushing away from them, sorry, it's pushing into them. They should just be prepping their waves here. Because Fnatic can clear this all day, right? They can clear this middle inhibitor all day. They don't give a crap about this middle inhibitor. It's close to Baron, and you've got ridiculous amounts of wave clear. They end up shoving you into your tower, and because you have no pressure on the side lanes, they can do this. And like, what is your Fiora offering you in the mid lane? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So this is looking great. They get a nice ulti from Extinct. Again, Fredy still not doing any damage. Still hasn't touched anyone. He's hit Gamsu twice, 3 times. So yeah, Freddy's just okay. So he's done what, 5 auto attacks at this point, something like that. 5 auto attacks. Instead of just soaking this colossal wave here or putting some pressure on here, because while that team fight was going on, he could have just taken this inhibitor. If he'd been pushing this wave, they wouldn't have had the option to try and siege your mid lane in the first place, especially seeing as you have nice ward coverage over at the Baron. Now this is looking super good for them. You've got like, what is that, 10? Yeah, 10 seconds on Quinn. Take this. I mean, I thought Betsy should have gone for the top inhibitor as well, and then you would have 3 inhibs. I thought that was better. But yeah, you lose a tower just because of just lazy minion wave prepping. This is so lazy. And I think Fredy definitely could have taken this on his own, and Betsy could have taken the top one. To be honest, but it's fine. You get the bottom inhibitor. This is going to bounce back because that's what happens when waves get to towers. Oh wait, no, your tower dies. But eventually it should bounce back. Again, you get a catch onto Spirit, and this keeps happening. They keep getting these ridiculous catches that shouldn't work really. Like against a better team, this just wouldn't have happened. Fnatic's not playing well this game. They are playing their comp, but they're playing out of position a lot of times. There's a lot of mechanical misplays from Spirit and Gamsu. Should get the Baron buffer. This should be absolute freeload right now. Unfortunately, you burnt your teleports over here earlier because just for no reason, because Fredy was overextending. Well, and then to get that inhibitor there. Just gonna see that team fight again, where Freddy's not really doing much. But I mean, these guys easily, with like a fairly fed Kindred and a Lucian's wave clear and the Brown for, you know, blocking off all of the poke, you can operate a 1-3-1 really comfortably, even into Caitlyn and Lulu. Like, yes, they will siege your towers, and it will kind of suck, but yeah. And this is really painful right here, because, again, it's Caitlyn Lulu. You can't siege into this. You can't just walk into this, especially not with this, like, ridiculous amount of abusive just headshots and traps and stuff, and they just completely underestimate it, and they don't have any side wave pressure. You could just wait for this wave to get there. You don't have to siege this. You don't have to walk into this. Wait for this wave to get in there and let the minions do the work for you. They will have to send someone here eventually. Put Betsy in the side lane here, and just sit there and wait. You can literally just sit in the mid lane and clear waves and back off as soon as they get here. And eventually the pressure will be too much, and they'll have to lose something. They'll have to lose one of their inhibs, or take a team fight that's 5v4. And then it all just kind of goes to pot. Betsy dies here. But they still end up getting the 5th dragon. They still end up losing, and that just goes to show that even if you're super ahead, even if you have 5th dragon to 0 dragons, they don't even have the 6% stat buff. You have to play your comp. You can't play a 1-3-1 in a grouping style into, you know, a grouping comp, because this comp, when it's 5 people, it's just going to form a death ball and roll over you. And look how much the minions generated here. Look how much pressure they generated. Imagine if they'd just sat there and waited for that to happen. Someone would have had to go and deal with it, and then they could have taken a fight. Look at this. Again, this is massive, this minion wave. If you'd waited for those 2 minion waves to get in, you'd have had a free inhib 100%. One of them. Either the mid lane or the top lane. Doesn't matter which. And, you know, you can be rotating here. But, yeah, they end up losing stuff. And I think Betsy ends up actually making a suicidal teleport play at some point. Might be quite soon. Yeah, there you go. I think he actually gets this. Yeah, he does. He gets this and then they get the 5th dragon, if I recall correctly. So this is fine. You know, this is good. Use your teleport. You've got another one coming up soon. So you're still equal on teleports, and you have 2 inhibitors now. But I think Betsy's going to die. But they are going to get 5th dragon. Or is he even going to die? No, they don't actually punish it. So, good read from Betsy there. Nice use of the teleport. And this, like, by this point, I think Crepo has called the game in favour of ROCCAT like 4 times, and so had I. I'd been like, okay, this must be it, this must be it, this must be it. Of course, Fnatic has much more of a fighting chance now because they've got inhibs down, but I mean, you should be able to pressure these side waves so much more because Fnatic shouldn't be able to come out of their base because you have 5th dragon. And when you're pushing a team into their base this much, it doesn't make any sense to have blue trinkets because you want vision inside of their base, you want vision next to their base gates, you want vision in their jungle, you want all of that. But blue trinkets isn't really going to accomplish that because like you put a blue trinket inside their base and Caitlyn shoots it, okay, wait a minute, come back later. Or you could have, you know, 2 stealth wards. Which they would have to at least use pink wards and sweepers to use to get rid of. And guess what? No one has any space in their inventory for pink wards this late in the game. So you're going to have like 1 pink ward and 1 sweeper at this point, and maybe a raptor buff if the jungler actually makes it out of their jungle for that. So yeah, again, like in this situation, it's completely worth sending Fredy to just soak the Malphite because without the Malphite they can't do anything. Without the Malphite they cannot engage on you. You can just walk away from them. And they end up team fighting. Again, look, this bottom wave, it should be prepped, but it's not. It's just sitting there. Top wave's going to push in because it's a super wave, but you can't siege into Caitlyn. I feel like I'm droning on about the same thing over and over again, but it's so simple. And ROCCAT should have won this game. They really should have won this game, but instead you have a wave that's pushing into you in the bot lane. Which shouldn't be happening. Like, they underestimated the fact that you have super creeps in that wave. And even if you have 5 dragon, it's not going to work against this ridiculous amount of shielding that you can see on Caitlyn right here with her hurricane. Because you don't have any pressure on the side wave, so they can just sit here and 5v5 you. They're not forced to do anything. And that's how it all ends, without them even taking a single inhibitor or actually a single kill with their 5 dragon buff. So, yeah. I hope I wasn't too monotonous, but that's just a basic lesson about the 1-3-1 and playing your comp and using your waves to slow push, you know, split push allocation, who to send where, as Betsy dies in his unfortunate suicide, last ditch attempt. But yeah, another thing I would add, I normally would talk about it a lot. In this game, it wasn't particularly relevant because they have a Quinn on their team who is really mobile and can push out the side waves and has lots of physical damage. But like a really, really strong weapon, even if you're not a 1-3-1 team, or sometimes if you are, is to use a Banner of Command to generate that 1-3-1. Or Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai can do it as well because she has globals. Anyone with a global can do it. Shen support with the Banner of Command could even do it. I honestly think Banner of Command is the most highly underrated item in this game. I highly advise that you will get it, especially against AA teams. Against AA teams, say you have an Elise in the jungle, for example, or like a Malphite top laner or whatever. Get a banner on your top laner or your jungler and unlock it on your support. It's a really good item. It's actually really stat efficient as well. I think that teams should be using it a lot more because guess what? It makes your minions absolutely immune to magic damage. You ever seen a Ryze try to clear a minion wave with a Banner of Command in it? It's absolutely hilarious. And if you have a Baron buff like ROCCAT did in that game, it makes that minion completely unkillable. Again, not relevant in that game because Caitlyn and Quinn. But yeah, definitely something that I think more people should consider. So thanks for tuning into this first video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something. See you next time, I guess.